I thought about wearing a bed sheet for this one because my head's buzzed and then I'd, look like 11. But good thing I didn't.
Henderson!
Henderson! He's back! He's back!
I'm back! You got the job!
You got the job! Hey, oh!
Stranger Things Season 3 is out on Netflix, and yes, I am aware I am late to the party here, but nonetheless, here is my review. And in this review, I'm going to go over my likes, my dislikes, my theories maybe. I'm not quite sure, we're just going to go with the flow. But this is a spoiler review, so if you have not seen Stranger Things Season 3, go watch it, come back, watch this. I'll be right here waiting for you. I just wanted to start out with that I really liked this season. There were a couple things I didn't like, but we'll get into those a little bit later. But overall, I think this was quite the step up from Season 2, which Season 2 was kind of a mixed bag for me. I didn't love all of it. I loved the characters, but the story kind of just was eh. And then Season 1 was great. That's still my favorite. I still think Season 1 is better than this season, mostly because I'll probably go back and watch that one a little bit more. But this season, I would say, is up there. I really love where they took the characters this season. I thought they did a really good job with Eleven and Mike's group, with Max, Lucas, and Will. I liked how Eleven's storyline was trying to become herself, trying to understand the world, trying to understand what it's like to be human, and being independent of a otherwise very codependent relationship with Mike. And I think both Eleven and Mike's story arcs both complement each other in very interesting ways. You have Eleven being in this relationship, which is actually holding her back from becoming her own self in this new world and trying to learn more about it. She's kind of stuck in this bubble, if you will. But at the same time, her storyline complements Mike's as he needs to learn how to let go a little bit, let her be her own self, and also realizing that he loves her and why he's doing the way he does and learning what's right and wrong in a relationship. And I really appreciated the aspect of this season because this is just one example of many story arcs that complement each other. Another one is Robin and Steve's. I really loved their dynamic together, with Steve casting this huge shadow in high school and Robin kind of living in that shadow and not being a real popular kid where he is very popular. It shows that Steve was just kind of doing it for everybody else. He wasn't really making himself happy. He was just trying to be popular. He's doing what people thought was the right thing to do to fit in. But Robin was kind of being herself, but it also showed that side of things where she wanted that, and she didn't realize how hard it was to be that, and he didn't realize how hard it was to be herself. And it was a very interesting theme that they started to play with there, to showing both sides of the spectrum in high school. And I could definitely relate to that, and I feel like a lot of people could relate to that, is that we can't really fit into one group. We try to be popular, but we're not really happy. We are who we are, but we want more. And it doesn't really work out. And I loved them finding themselves after high school, working together and just kind of making themselves happy post high school, post the time that they wanted just to fit in, to be cool. And I really appreciated that. And I really loved her character where she struggled with her sexuality. She didn't know what she wanted. When she stutters a little bit, calling Steve her friend to the video guy, I have a suspicion that she doesn't really know what she wants yet, and I really like that. It's not just black and white, it's very muddled, it's very gray, and I like that a lot. Steve and Dustin's relationship, of course, is amazing. They're so funny. I love how they just bicker. They're like an old married couple, and I just want to see a spin-off of them. Like, throw them in an RV, driving across country. I don't know, just have them have fun and bicker, and I don't know, I'll just watch it. That's all I gotta say. And then Erica joins that group, and she was hilarious as well. I love the Die Hard callbacks. I love all that little storyline there, minus the Russian subplot, but I'll get to that. I just thought that group was probably my favorite, and I think they played off each other the best, with comedy at least, and also I just think it was one of the most enriching story arcs, especially with Steve and Robin. I liked Eleven and Max together, Max showing her the ropes on how to do things in life, and I thought that was really special as well. And I kind of thought Max was just kind of a supporting character, trying to help these characters get to a certain place. But her turn with Billy at the end of the season and how they fleshed out Billy, and then Max embracing Billy at the end when he dies, was just so heartbreaking, and I just felt their connection. When they set up Max and Billy in the second season, I kind of felt like they were just pointless characters. I didn't really understand what was the point. maybe to throw in an extra person to drive a wedge between the boys, or having a bad guy to beat up Steve later on in the season. Like, I wasn't understanding why they had them. But then they bring them into this season, of course, and they just became such dynamic characters, and I really enjoyed them. Lucas was really good at the beginning of the season, helping Mike with his problems and giving him advice. I thought that was great. But then he becomes just a side character, and I didn't love it. Other than the fireworks thing, it was pretty good. But he just kind of was in the background. And I'm going to say that was basically the same thing with Will. Will was just there. I didn't really see the point of him being there, other than him filling the mind flare. There was the great point when he was destroying Castle Byers, and that was very heartbreaking. I thought that was the best of his character in any season here. It just tore me apart, and it made me emotional. Now, Joyce and Hopper were probably one of my favorite aspects of this season as well. I really loved their dynamic, their bickering. It was kind of like Steve and Dustin, how they're just constantly bickering, and they're just like an old married couple. I loved it. It was really great to see just them working together, working on this little mystery, if you will, of trying to figure out what's going on. I really loved that. And I also loved how they just hinted at a possible relationship, but as you can tell, like, it's probably not going to happen now, but I really liked that. They were just teasing us, but we did not get it. Like, making us want something, but that can't necessarily happen. Kind of like Steve and Robin, where we wanted them to be together, but it doesn't seem like it's going to happen, and it's kind of just realistic to me. I really like that, as in, not everything has to be a romantic relationship. Something can be platonic and fine itself. We can have healthy relationships just as friends. In my opinion, Hopper had the best story arc out of anybody this season, where he's trying to cut out his feelings, not trying to feel anything in fear of getting hurt and damaged again. And I really appreciated that. Like, I loved every part of it, especially the ending when he does die. Like, goddamn, they went for it. Like, I was really satisfied on the way he died. Like, they set it up really well. It was very emotional, especially the letter to 11. Like, really, that was really well done. And I cried. I cried. Like, good job, Duffer Brothers. You got me to cry. Although, I just hope they do not bring him back. And it kind of seems like they're going to. And I feel like if they do, it might ruin this season for me. Even if season 4 is a masterpiece, if they bring him back, I think season 3 will just be kind of meh for me. Like it really won't hold any weight anymore. And I won't really feel like any of these characters are in danger if they can't die. Another very emotional death to me was Billy. I loved how they dove into his character and just made him a very three-dimensional gray character, where he is a very tortured person, where he's had a lot of trauma, and you understand why he is the way he is. It makes sense. And then him switching sides to protect 11 at the end after she confronts him was just so emotional. And that last strike to his heart, just, it was rough. And then Max just holding him, just like, that was rough again. And I cried again. Like, that was really good. This last episode, the Battle of Starcourt, was just really emotional to me, and I really loved it. I think it is one of the better episodes of TV I've seen in a long time, up there with the Battle of the Bastards, with Hardhome, with the finale of Breaking Bad. Like, I think it's up there. Minus the post-credit scene. And this is kind of where I get into things I didn't love, like the Russians. When I first started watching, I was really worried because I saw that the Russians were going to be a part of this, and I thought, this is cliche and cheesy. It was better than what I expected going forward, but it still took me out of it a lot. It just kind of seemed, like I said, cliche and cheesy, but at times it seemed like it was somewhat realistic, so I'm really mixed on the Russians, mostly negative, but there were some positives like Alexei. Like when he died, it was very emotional to me, but then there's Arnold Drago there that just is the foil to Hopper in a way, and I felt like it took away from Hopper a lot, and it was just really cheesy, and I just didn't like it. I thought they were just trying to rip on Arnold Schwarzenegger and Ivan Drago together, and it just was like, like you could have done better. Like I feel like they could have took out the Russians and put somebody else in there, and it would have made it better. Maybe it could have made it worse too. So who knows? Nancy and Jonathan, I thought were very pointless this season. I did not really care at all for their story arc. I felt like we could have took them out and put them in other groups, and it would have been just fine. Other than Nancy's own personal journey of her trying to become this reporter, and then her little heart-to-heart at the end was pretty touching. Although I felt like they could have each died in the season, Nancy was saved like 4 times, and it just became really unrealistic, and it kind of took me out of it. And then Jonathan didn't seem like he was doing a ton this season, and I felt like he could have died. And it maybe would have helped Nancy's storyline being more broken. Her having to deal with Jonathan and Barb's death would have been really interesting to me. There was a really cool little touch with their storyline that I really loved, and that was the camera work when they're getting fired, when the boss kicks the desk and the camera Dutch tilts, and the rest of the scene is done that way. I really appreciated that little touch, and I thought it added a cool layer to that scene. And I know it's little, but I just appreciate camera work. I appreciate cinematography. But at the end of the day, Stranger Things Season 3 I thought was really good. I thought there were some bad parts to it, like the Russians, Jonathan and Nancy. There were parts that didn't drag me in, that pulled me away a little bit. But overall, I think the positives outweigh the negatives by a lot. So I think this is a good season, and if I had to describe it in one word, I would say it was surprisingly emotional.
Reach the stars, fly a fantasy.
I didn't think I was going to cry this season, and I didn't think I would love these characters like I did. So I applaud the Duffer Brothers for this one. But what did you think of Stranger Things Season 3, and what would your one word be to describe this season? If you like what you saw here, make sure you like this, make sure you share it. You can also subscribe down below. You can check out my Midsummer review, my Spider-Man Far From Home review right over there. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to always make time to watch a movie. Have a good one.